Hello and welcome to Blaugrana Everything News Roundup, a quick summary of the main events that have happened in the world of FC Barcelona. In today's roundup, we'll be talking about Rafa Marquez leaving his position as Barca Atletic coach. Then we will have a talk about this recent urge to sign Dani Olmo that seems to have gripped FC Barcelona post Spain's Euros victory, and ask ourselves what it would really take to sign not just Nico Williams but Dani Olmo as well. And briefly, we'll get into some news linking FC Barcelona to N'golo Kante. However, before we go any further, some housekeeping is in order, so please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button too. Leave a comment because I'd like to know your thoughts about those topics, and like how last time around Majin Wali shared his thoughts on Messi and Lamine Yamal's upcoming Finalissima reunion, saying that they should recreate that now famous photo from 17 years ago. Yeah, that one made me laugh. So anyway, let's start with the news regarding Rafa Marquez, who looks all but set to leave his role as Barca Atletic head coach to join the Mexico national team. Per multiple sources, reports from Football MX claim that Marquez has agreed to become the assistant manager and he will work with Javier Aguirre to prepare for the 2026 World Cup, beyond which he will then himself lead the national team. My thoughts on this? Well, Rafa Marquez was doing well at Barcelona B, so much so that he did find his name in the hat of possible replacements for Xavi Hernandez, whether you thought that was deserved or not. And he was also reportedly being watched by AS Monaco and FC Porto to take over their first teams. So to see him live on the premise of being Mexico national team coach after the 2026 World Cup does feel a bit like a gamble. I mean, Mexico's FA does change coaches like Chelsea under Todd Bowley, but I guess I can understand him, of all people, answering the call to once again rep tricolor. So I can only wish him all the best in his endeavors and hope that it does pan out for him. Moving on from that, we can get into some transfer news, because after all, these reports right now are just about everywhere. You'll see Barcelona news. So first we will start by taking a break from the Nico Williams transfer saga, simply because nothing much has changed since our last visit to that saga, except maybe somebody said that Barca want to try and wrap up this Nico Williams deal this week. They do not want it to go on longer than this week, starting on the 21st of July. So we'll see how all of that goes. Let's talk about the Dani Olmo transfer saga. So, reports claim that Joan Laporta told Deco to not only seal the signing of Nico Williams, but also to do his best to close Dani Olmo. So that allegedly led Deco to meeting the agent of not only Nico Williams, but Dani Olmo during last week, and reports from Ferran Martinez then claimed that Barcelona had made a contract proposal to Dani Olmo and offered him a 6-year deal. Which brings us to the current situation, in which for Barcelona to sign both Nico Williams and Dani Olmo, they will need one important exit. So it has been reported, at least by the likes of Gerard Romero and Fabrizio, if I'm not mistaken. My thoughts on this? Well, the job needed by Barcelona this summer was, in my opinion, pretty simple and straightforward. Sign Nico Williams or a left winger that's as good as him, and then sign a freaking defensive midfielder. Now, I understand that getting a new coach can basically lead to a shift in targets, so I can understand if you say maybe an out-and-out defensive midfielder is not top priority for Hansi Flick, because he's cool just shifting to a double pivot that doesn't necessarily need a Busquets or Rodri or Zubimendi type of pivot. But explain to me how it has come to be that the player who we seem desperate to get in, that being Dani Olmo, is a player who, before this Euros, his signing had been discarded by Barca. Like literally, one of the few transfer updates I did prior to that Euro, I mentioned this fact. Plus, getting him does mean apparently shipping an important player, and it brings me back to this video where I discussed my feelings about Barcelona's transfer window and how I felt like it could be a disaster. I mean, is it a wise idea really to spend 60 million on Dani Olmo, an amount that Barca would have never agreed to pay prior to the Euros, and also to deplete your squad in the process of doing so, whilst also still leaving a gaping hole in the pivot position? Like, sure, for now, Hansi Flick might not want an out-and-out pivot, but you're going to have other managers that are going to come in after Hansi Flick. What if Flick only lasts a season and the next manager comes through and he says he wants a pivot? And you can't spend on that because this summer you went all out on Dani Olmo. And also, like, who exactly are they expecting to play defensive midfielder? You know, Oriol Romeu and Christensen? I think we've all had enough of that. Anywho, that's about all I had time for here, except of course for the N'golo Kante links, because it has been reported that FC Barcelona apparently are looking into the possibility of signing N'golo Kante on a loan. That's right, they see him as a cheap alternative apparently to, I don't know who, to be honest, to Mikel Merino maybe, because Barca has been linked with Merino as well. But right now Merino has links to Atleti as well, so it looks like could end up there if you ask me. But apparently Barcelona are looking into N'golo Kante, and honestly I don't really know what else to say here, because if this was N'golo Kante 5 years ago, I'd be like, okay, this is possibly a good signing. But now, especially seeing how things have gone when we've signed injury-prone old players previously, you know, not just oldish but old, because he's like turning 34 soon. I don't think he's what we need. And also it's more frustrating when you think that we're willing to spend 60 million on Dani Olmo but not on Zubimendi, who is a player that we need way more than Dani Olmo. But anyway, that's really all I had time for here. It was relatively short today compared to the last time, but I think we've spoken at length about those few news items, so I'd definitely love to hear your thoughts. Go ahead and tell me what you think in the comments. But aside from that, I thank you for tuning in. Do have a great day, and Forza Barca.